a certain extent on Bach and completely on Kronos, the music was composed and then the images edited to the music. And on Samsara, all of the music was, or well, the images were created first, and then the music was written to and synchronized to the picture.
Pieces of music that Mark wanted us to deliver in this film, he wanted to have a life of their own, so that it was something that the piece of music stood alone and then was placed with the picture to see the innate value or the innate properties of that piece of music being executed through the visual.
We gave them each pieces of the film, the sequences that were edited of like material. So the composers are able to lay the sequences out on their computer program and compose a piece of music that's that length. And what's really nice about that is that you end up with a piece of real music. It's not a score where you're micromanaging cut to cut the emotional content.
There's something very elusive about working in this way, because one doesn't preempt or calculate those things that in a normal situation would play into an audience's psyche, therefore manipulating sensibility of how they experience what they're viewing. This is a completely different approach to that, and it enables the viewer to take on a much more personalised, intimate, to their own reality, how they experience this work.
Composing music for a nonverbal film where you're not being asked to create an emotional script that supports actors performing, but rather really create original music, reaching deep inside and pulling it out note by note, taking things in, not just from the image, but through conversation with the producer and the director, and really living with the images for a period of time, and not being under a time constraint, as you so often are when you're scoring a feature film, where you have to have an entire score done in a month or 6 weeks, but really being able to sink into the images and what's called forth from inside musically.
The fun process happens when you're taken to an area where you normally wouldn't go, by the director and the producer and people involved. And all of a sudden you go into that area kicking and screaming sometimes.
It's extremely painful.
And then you find yourself that, my God, I just discovered that I could actually
This is working.
do something that I didn't think I could do. And you start to be comfortable with it, and you start to develop ideas from there that stem from this place. Then all of a sudden everyone's happy, and you realize that you somehow were forced to reinvent something within yourself that you didn't know you were capable of. That's a beautiful moment in the creative process.
To the film, Lisa and Marcello would work in the studio, and I would work here in the studio, And maybe twice a week, I would go out and spend time with them, and we'd collaborate on different aspects of the music. I'd give them feedback, they'd give me feedback. It was really a great working relationship.
It's almost like painting a canvas. It's almost like doing a Renaissance painting where we put brush stroke on the stereo image, and we say, okay, this fits really well. Now we're going to try a different brush stroke to create this beautiful painting of sonic elements. We were very adamant about keeping everything very organic. We wanted every instrumentation to be absolutely recorded, signature, because of the nature of the work, the nature of the image. And we felt the only way to express that fully was to record every single instrument that we could live. When we would record, for example, a drum, we would hear a certain resonance of the drum that was recorded in a room, and then we could actually address another instrument to marry with that instrument. I have developed a passion for trying to learn other instruments that play similar to the guitars, which have actually helped me to discover instruments like the Puerto Rican cuatro or the charango, the ukulele, and it's a fascinating thing to work with all those elements.
Working with Mark, sometimes we would work late into the night, and then we'd modify things, tweak things, follow musical paths that things that I wouldn't have thought of myself. One of the sequences in the film, the opening sequence, is a recording that I heard just before I left Santa Fe to come out to Los Angeles to begin working on the project. A Native American woman by the name of Bonnie Jo Hunt and a dear friend of mine, Ron Sunsinger, had recorded a piece together. While working with Mark, I had given him that piece of music, and we were actually using it in another part of the film. And Mark tried to play it for a moment over the opening sequence of the three Bali girls doing the Lagong dance, and there was a moment in it that really worked well. So I took that moment and expanded upon it and orchestrated it with the gamelan orchestra and other more atmospheric elements, and it turned into a Native American gamelan synthesizer piece, kind of this global music piece that was really quite, for myself, listening to it, quite profound. When you listen to it, you don't know. It's like, where is this music coming from? I've just never heard anything like that before. There's one musical sequence that supports the filming of the devastation of New Orleans and Katrina, and I was looking for a sound that would not obtrude into the images, but would support and allow the audience to really feel deeply into those images. And I had brought a set of crystal singing bowls, and the sounds are very pure and very deep and very low. And those, when I set up one night to perform with those, I put on Katrina footage, and it was very powerful to me. I just found myself very almost hypnotized by the images, because there's something very deep and slow that happens in the slow dollies and slow moves, and the bells just really lent themselves to enhance that.
I was actually composing a choir piece for another part of the film that emanated a sense of distant respect for all life forms. Interestingly, Mark heard the piece in this position and decided that he would move it to this area that had been left empty. And I have to say that it was much more moving.
Lisa has an ability to access a really deep, creative place very quickly, and it's very impressive to watch. When you first listen to it, you think you're hearing an electronic keyboard pad. When you listen more closely, you realize that she layered 5 tracks of voice, and there's nothing on the piece but vocals.
And when these things happen, it's almost like the magic of the line, that if something is whole and consistent throughout, there is a strong line of continuity. The story is told so slowly and with such a broad paintstroke that you can unlock a new area, a new layer of reality.
It's just been absolutely amazing to get to come here to Los Angeles and work for 6 months, just to hunker down and do 6 months of intense work on a film score. And we don't, as film composers, we don't get opportunities like that very often.
You can't just lick a piece of paper and stick it onto your hand. It'll blow off in the first breeze if that quality or that commitment isn't there from the filmmakers to begin with. And with these works, it's almost has the opposite effect because there's so much in fabric, probably because what the film is real.
It was great acquiring it on 65mm neg because the film has such latitude to it. That is such a range and highlights that it was like a safety net. And we did very minimal lighting to try to keep a very natural look. And then when you take that and do a transfer at 8K, the image is just amazing.
I'm often asked, how do you go out with an independent low budget film, 70mm film? And like Barack, we don't print anything. We took the negative, processed it, which is not expensive, and ran it through what's called a telecity process, which brings it into a digital environment. And we were able to work with the digital proxies of that footage in the editing process. Once we had the film form, the final cut, we were able to then go in and scan at 8K a frame at a time, but we're only scanning the part that's in the film. We're not scanning everything we shot. And that's really why we're able to make it work.
When we finished scanning at 8K, we down-res that 8K, and what was unique about this project was that we had the opportunity to use state-of-the-art 4K mastering facility, ColorWorks, and we were able to look at our 4K images in virtual real-time assembly. It was really, I think, one of the highlights of this whole project was the ability to see these wonderful images that we had created and which we had looked at in lower res proxies And we'd always been impressed by them. You know, we always thought they looked good, but it wasn't until we started seeing these images in 4K, it was just like we were seeing this material for the first time, and boy, we were really enjoying it. Central to the workflow design that I came up with was the expectation that when this film was completed, when Samsara was completed, that we would be able to exhibit it in the newest digital cinema format, which is 4K cinema.
Scan at ultra high resolution yielded an amazing end result that in many ways surpassed film, even surpassed the 70mm presentations. And we've done side by side analysis. Bottom line is all the benefits of shooting in the light negative art end up embedded into the digital file. And the great benefit of it is that everybody gets exact same first generation file to view, regardless of where they are. 70mm printers get hammered in the real world, and we had a lot of that experience with Brock. I've been through that, and this is going to get the best looking presentation to the most number of people.
Essentially, what you see in Samsara is what Ron and Mark wanted to capture and did capture. Often, I get people who have seen the film that say to me, "Is this a special effect shot? Is that a model that you're shooting there?" No, the point is that those unique images were all created in the camera. That was all the real world.
Well, we've been friends and collaborators for, way back. First project we did called Cronus. It's been 25, 30 years.
Ron is an exceptional visual artist. He's known primarily for time-lapse cinematography that we've done in these films. He's a terrific editor. He also has a mechanical side where he's actually designed the cameras that we've used on each of the films, Cronus, Barak, and Samsara. Those techniques have developed and improved over the course of the films we've done. We have a very refined set of mechanical tools that allow all these motion control shots at various frame rates. At the core of all that is a sense of composition that reveals the essence of the subject matter, but in a way it's non-judgmental, and it's a very fine line to walk. That's, I think, why these films work the way they do. We're not trying to transmit information so much as transmit an inner feeling state and not interrupt the flow of it with an opinion. That quality is, I think, what makes his cinematography and approach to art and filmmaking so unique.
The nicest thing about working with someone like Mark is he totally understands the creative process. He's not only a producer, he's a filmmaker. He's a collaborator. Not only had to deal with all this heavy lifting to produce a project like this, but he understood it on a creative level and allowed the project to develop under its own steam. We were out shooting images over 2-3 years and not working with a screenplay. But we had a kind of a scenario, a concept, and he was very comfortable with that process. It just wouldn't have happened in a traditional sense. Mark was involved in all creative aspects and understood the flow of the project. And so that's, I think, why we were able to make a film that worked as well as it does.
So Ron and Mark and I have this ongoing personal process as well as creative process that's gone on since Cronus. And we moved into working on Baraka together. It's like all of our relationships deepened and there were bigger creative challenges. It's definitely an opportunity for growing. and also for, for drawing, to seeing more clearly who I am, what it is that I want to say as part of this participation in this trio. They say, out of the three, rise to 10,000. And so I guess out of these films, there's been a lot of creativity expressed.
Rock was actually my first introduction into doing film music, actually being involved in something that was, music to film. I won't say picture because it's a very different process, but so it was at that stage which really, it was probably that particular project that opened the doorway or opened the gates for the works that came later, which there became a very strong interest in using my music, but especially my voice in cinema. So it was really, that was the protagonist, if you like. Seeing the work from this stage is very, very different for me because the Baraka was almost finished when I came on board last time. So this process has been very much the entire building of this exquisite flower with lots of petals of music that's finally sort of coming together.
There was a real sense of collaboration between everyone, and everyone knew the kind of project we were doing was very intuitive, and that we would go out and shoot for 2-3 years, and we'd come back and edit all this material together, knowing that we would find the flow of the film.
One of the great things that you take away from a project like this is the relationships that you make with people that you work with. And, we've been fortunate to work with a lot of the same people for many, many years. Alton Walpole, who is a veteran of many nonverbal films and worked with us on Kronos as well as Baraka. Michael Freeman, who worked on Baraka and took us to Cambodia, also was involved with Samsara. Resmini Gardner that worked on both of those films. And it's really one of the rewards of doing this is bonding with those people and having those relationships that really carry through beyond the films. Over the course of these films, we've been to 58 countries, and this is really the culmination of all that work.